Good evening and welcome to live coverage of the start of the 20th season of PSGL F1. And joining me for this momentous occasion is a former three-time PSGL F1 champion and the master of puns himself. It is Iran. Welcome to the commentary box, my friend. How are you doing this evening?
Thank you, I'm doing great. It feels weird not being on the grid for the first time in ages, but tonight is going to be a spectacle, so stay with us and stay tuned right until the very last lap.
Yep. And if you're having trouble with the link for the stream, Iran is going to retweet it, so in case something goes wrong with your internet, you can grab it later on. Now, at this time, we are joined by a very special guest who tonight is celebrating quite the milestone, his 100th Grand Prix in PSGL F1. I believe the second driver, no, the third driver after Iran and Big C to do that. Is that right, Iran?
I think you also got to slip Remco in there as well, but it's
yes, of course.
This occasion for Lordyboy.
Yes, so Lordyboy, your 100th race in PSGL. So how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, like I was talking to you guys earlier, just before the stream started, I think the word is old. Many people would use it. Like you say, it's a great achievement. You know, I'm not as I dare say old, but experienced as some other guys on the grid because I'm only 18 myself. But you know, it's interesting because there's new breeds of drivers at the moment, and you know, let's see how I can hold my own against them.
Yes, indeed. Now we have a bit of time, so maybe you can give us a few highlights of your career. Do any pop out in particular that you can remember?
Well, yeah, as many drivers will say, you know, the race wins always stick in the mind. You know, my first race win in a while was 2015 Bahrain. Very controversial, actually. A turn one incident with me, Tuzma's Big C, and I believe Remco at the time. It was also the duel in the desert between the Mercedes drivers, really good Grand Prix, and I was at the back of the grid from lap one, and I came back to steal the win off Remco on the final lap, so that's probably my proudest moment.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty epic comeback coming from the back of the grid at Bahrain. Not an easy thing to do. So, you know, where do you see yourself for the next few seasons? Do you think you'll carry on into PSGL F1? Do you see yourself maybe racing in a different division, PSGL?
Well, I've been under a lot of criticism from drivers and stewards and admins recently, and it's, you know, fair enough. I've not been performing at my maximum of what I used to achieve, but you know, the passion's there, the determination's there, and the commitment's there. I think I struggled for a while. Trying to find myself in F1. I had a lot of issues outside of F1 that hampered that. But now I'm a new person, and hopefully I can get back to former glory.
Indeed. So, what are your sort of aims for the season? You know, you've hit the magic century, but now, you know, have you got any particular aims for the season? Maybe just to simply have a better campaign than the last one, or, you know, look for a podium or a win down the line?
Yeah, I was speaking with Iran and Big C earlier, and obviously the ambition is to win or a podium. You know, it will always be that for me. You know, you don't want to go into a race expecting to get a 10th place or expecting to get a 5th place. You want to win. You want to be the best, or at least, you know, top 3. But realistically, you know, I am probably midfield, maybe lower half of the midfield. You know, in around that area. You know, I will be fighting for the bottom half of the points this race. You know. I haven't done enough practice personally myself, and I believe my teammate Cliffy also hasn't done too much practice. But there's a lot of pressure in terms of trying to perform for my teammate, because he is obviously what was in contention for the title last season. But no, you've just got to enjoy it. That is why I'm here. I'm not here to, you know, brag about what I've done. I'm not here to criticise other drivers. I'm here to enjoy and race cleanly.
Brilliant.
And on that note, sorry Mark, but on that note, Lordy, I don't want to dampen the spirits a little, but do you think you can keep your seat at the end of this season following some of the criticisms that you've had?
I believe I could, but that's just my personal determination. Obviously other drivers would think, you know, how am I still here to this day? And I think, you know, that is a question I can't even answer, to be honest. But like I say, you know, I think the reason I'm here at the moment is because I drive more intelligently than some drivers. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that because I've got the experience that others may not have. If I'm the same pace or maybe a bit slower than some of the drivers, I seem to be a bit more consistent, whereas other drivers would either, you know, burn out the tyres or waste too much fuel, and then I'll get them in the latter parts of the race, or I'll start on hard compound tyres and then obviously hamper the leaders to obviously benefit myself later on. So, you know, it's just things like that that, you know, get you through the seasons when you're not necessarily at the top, when you're, you know, in the midfield battles. But yeah, I believe so. Hopefully we can have a good campaign, me and Cliffy.
Yeah, so, well, thanks very much for your time, Lordyboy, and we'll probably leave you to finish your pre-race preparations, and Aaron and I are going to discuss the track, and I think obviously no tables to go through, but thanks for your time, Lordyboy, and, you know, who knows, hopefully we may see you again at the end of the race with a sensational podium to start the season. Best of luck to you, and congratulations on your 100 races in PSGL F1.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. I do appreciate it. The aim is obviously to finish it because I want this to be a memorable occasion. But yeah, hopefully a podium. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. See ya.
No problem.
Yeah.
Right, well, that was Lordyboy there, sharing his thoughts on 100 races in PSGL. That's an amazing achievement. I mean, how often do people last that long in leagues, let alone get to 100 races? And I'm sure there's plenty on the grid who will be wanting to get to 100 races and have, you know, the sort of success Lordyboy's had, multiple race winner, of course. And, you know, someone that yourself, Aaron, very familiar with. You've raced with him for a number of seasons.
Yeah, Lordyboy, as he said, he's a very intelligent racer, but he's a real hard battler out there, and he'll always be clean and fair, and that's why he stood the test of time. It's not all about pace in this league, it's also about consistency and having that spirit to get to the end of the races, and I think we'll see a lot of that from Lordyboy this season. So he's a fantastic bloke and great to have around in the PSGL F1 league.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we take a look at the Australia track, which, you know, let's be honest, we're all very familiar with it by now, let's just discuss the new teams for this season. It's a brand new grid, of course. Most of the drivers are quite familiar for those of you who regularly watch PSGL F1, but we do have some new faces, don't we, Aaron? What are your thoughts on the new guys coming in this season, including Wocko, the reigning F3 champion?
I think what it does is some of these new additions, they really add some real strong depth on the grid. When I knew some of these drivers were touted to sign up for the season ahead, I knew I had to get out of F1 because this league is going to be one of the fastest you're ever going to see. You've got Wocko, the reigning F3 champion, taking to the grid, and he's going to be a very feisty battler. I reckon we'll be seeing him close within that pack for the podium. So alongside AMS and likes of Big C, we've also got CCbrain, the runner-up for F2, and we saw how good he was at the Racer Champion. He was fighting for that win as well, so he will be one of the people I reckon that could end up pushing Ashbest and Cliffy in the battle for the driver's title. Obviously, you want to talk about QPRBeasts?
Oh yes, I mean, you know, he was commentary with me for a few races last season, but perhaps better known for his performances in season 18, where he was one of the 4 to challenge for the championship right at the end of the season. His campaign sort of just faded away at the end, but he was a multiple race winner that season and proved himself at this level in season 18. He will not be racing for the first half of the season as he finishes off exams, but I'm sure he'll be eager and ready to go when he comes back around 6 or 7, something like that. So let's a quick look at the teams then. We start with the Haas combo, a very familiar team up of Shortbread and Sambamkid. I mean, they must have been teammates many a time across these PSGL leagues and other leagues elsewhere outside of this umbrella. Then Renault, we have JD7 and QPRBeasts, which Aaron just mentioned just a moment ago. Then in the Red Bull team, we have Joelianomanu and Paudie. Then in the Williams team, we have Greeny and CCbrain. And then up next in the Sauber team, my pick as a dark horse for the Constructors' Championship, Oogie, Azeem and Wocko will be in the blue and gold cars. But do you agree with that they could be dark horses for the Constructors' Championship, Aaron?
Well, one thing about Oogie, Mark, is that he's got a lot of mistakes in him. He's a good quality driver. He can definitely save his tyres well, but he's always got a mistake in him, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them actually further below in the constructors. I think Wocko would probably be carrying that team, in my opinion, but that's just me being blunt and honest.
And I'm sure it won't be the last time you give your honest assessment on something concerning PSGL F1 this season. So carrying on through the run through the teams, we have Lickleblocks and Hellboy, who famously had a clash in the F2 finale a couple of seasons ago, but they are now teammates this season. They know each other very well off the grid, especially in the FIFA arena. So again, they could be a team who suddenly comes to the fore in terms of Constructors' Championship. Then Mercedes, wow, this is a big lineup. 8 World Championships between them. One of only 3 champions on the grid this season, with the departures of Jamie halfway through last season and the likes of Aaron, who stepped down from F1 last season. Big C and XJackLacey will be in the Silver Arrows this season, and they will surely be one of the favourites for the Constructors' Championship this season. Then in Toro Rosso, we have the very fast combo of Louisw03 and MaxiLuca. So can the junior Red Bull team cause a surprise? Louisw03 is many people's favourites for the Drivers' Championship, incidentally as well. And then Ferrari, we have Lordyboy, who we just heard from, and Cliffy, last season's very unfortunate championship runner-up. I mean, to lose a championship without even having a point in difference, just for an inferior win record, I mean, that must have been devastating. So if he can come back from that and win the championship, that would be incredible. And then finally, the PSGL F1 reigning champion Ashbest will be teaming up with AMS, and Ashbest has made it perfectly clear that his aim is to not only retain the championship in terms of the drivers, he wants the constructors as well. Oh, thank you very much. Just a minute. I thought I picked that already, but I must have pressed X by mistake when I was going through the party options. That could have been embarrassing. Now that I've just gone through the run-through of the teams of this grid, I just want to say a quick good evening to everybody who's in the chat already. I see the likes of Game Freaker, JP, Adeleke, Josh. We've also got, let's see who else we've got. I think that's AMS as well, his game tag there. And Voltex, oh that's Lewis actually. So a fair variety already in the chat. So Aaron, give us your assessment of the main contenders for the championship this season. I mean, Ashbest, obviously the reigning champion, was so impressive in the second half of the season. Can anyone challenge him?
Well, I think we're going to see a battle between the likes of Ashbest, CCbrain, Cliffy, and also Louis. I think those will be the top 4 drivers in terms of pace, and I think they'll be able to deliver throughout the course of the season. But it's really important that those drivers pick up points here at Melbourne, because if you start the season on the back foot, it is really hard to recover. I mean, I know myself recovering on the back foot, and I've gone on to win titles, but you cannot afford to drop points in a grid of this quality.
Yes, indeed. So then, we are going to start the usual 12-minute qualifying session around the Albert Park circuit here at Melbourne, Australia. A traditional season open Formula 1 has been since the 1996 season in real life, where incidentally Jacques Villeneuve took a sensational debut pole position. The first rookie to do that for about 25 years at the time. So I wonder if any of the F1 rookies out there will steal the show and get the pole position. So, Aaron, you've raced on this track many times. What's your sort of thoughts on it? Is it one of your favourites, or is it something where you go, oh, not this one again?
Well, I'd have to agree with the latter option there. I mean, this circuit is just really tricky. There's too many walls. It's really up close and personal. The lighting isn't great, and you know, if you make a mistake, you will be punished for it, and it's not going to be easy to overtake. So it isn't one of my favourites, but I've had some podiums here in the past, and it's going to be an interesting race. I think we'll see you know, the test of character from drivers, whether they're going to dive bomb, whether they're going to sit behind each other. So it's going to be a long race, that's all I can say.
Absolutely. Now Ashbest, will he make his customary quick exit out of the garage and onto the track? So often last season he was the first driver out on track. Now just looking at the previous winners of this race, there's only 2 remaining in the grids. Oogie winning this race back in season 17, and Big C, a 4-time winner, most of any driver in PSGL F1 history at this particular track, 4 times, including his brilliant victory last season in season 19. So he knows how to win this race, so don't count Big C. You can't count out someone who's won 7 titles in the past. And speaking of Big C, he had his lowest, finish in the championship since winning his 7th title last season. Do you think Big C, because he's won 7 titles, there's just not much, motivation for him to go out and win the 8th compared to all the hungry new drivers coming into the league, Aaron?
I'll tell you what, Venom. When I won my 3 titles, and I knew that it's going to be difficult to compete for more, but I gave it every last inch and every last thousandth I had out on track, and I think Big C will be exactly the same. He will be fighting whatever happens. He's won 7 titles and he could go on to win an 8th, but there are quicker drivers than him out there, and he definitely knows that. So it's a long season and you can never rule him out.
Yeah, absolutely. More than capable of getting a race victory, and as you can see, Ashbest had the number 13, but he's got that number 1 on his splendid orange and black McLaren, signifying he is indeed the reigning PSGL F1 champion, and he'll be looking to become the first driver since Big C to win at least 2 in a row. Big C, of course, won 6 in a row. But it's been a sort of a sequence, really, in recent times of a driver winning the championship, having a very poor title defence, and then getting a new champion. We had xJackLacey brilliantly winning the championship, then a poor defence. Then we had Jamie winning the championship, then a very poor defence. So Ashbest will be looking to break that run. So we go on board with Ashbest for the first qualifying runs of the season. So Aaron, take it away as we head into turn 3.
Well, Ashbest, you can tell that he needs to hook this lap up here. You need to get a really early banker in if you want a good chance in qualifying here. If he corner cuts or gets this lap wrong, then he'll only have 1 run left, and that's when the pressure will be really high. So Ashbest taking the curve really brilliantly. He's got a bit of oversteer, but this is looking to be a good lap so far. He's got to get the braking right here down to this tricky chicane here. And yes, he does. No oversteer. That's what you call a stable car. As we come down to the fast chicane here, it's going to be 180 miles an hour as we turn in on the left-hand side. Ashbest absolutely hooking up with the circuit, and a lot of speed out of that chicane there, and Mark.
Brilliant commitment from Ashbest there. That's exactly. It's one of my favourite sections of any track. Is that particular section. I'm not a big fan of this circuit, but I love that. When you hook it up, it's an immensely satisfying feeling. As Ashbest rounds the penultimate pair of corners and heads for the start-finish line. This looked like a really solid lap to start this session. We think the pole time's going to be somewhere in the 1:20s. So what does Ashbest do? It's a 1:21 flat to start the session. That is a very good banker from Ashbest. And Wocko nearly a second off. I mean, that just underlines the 1 lap pace Ashbest has at the moment. See who else is out there at the moment. What about his teammate AMS? Is he near the end of the lap? Yes, AMS goes second, so it's a McLaren 1-2 as it stands. Joel goes into 5th. What about Lordyboy? Let's give Lordyboy a bit of TV coverage. It's 100th PSGL F1 race this evening, and he's driving for Ferrari this season, as I mentioned earlier. So 6 drivers have set times, and well, you look at the gaps. It's half a second between Ashbest and Oogie, but there's plenty of top drivers who haven't set a time yet. Likes of Cliffy, Lewis, but look, even Louisw03, 8/10 off the pace. So that is one mighty banker from Ashbest at this stage. So are you surprised that no one's really been able to get near that yet from the first runs?
I think sometimes pressure comes into play, and we'll probably see the best runs towards the end of the session when the track conditions will be at their best. But at the moment, Lordyboy really wrenching that Ferrari around. He's on a good lap at the moment. I know he's best in qualifying. It could be a 21.8, so if he can replicate that, he could put himself up there in the big three. But that's not going to help in that traffic up the road. That's really distracting as you come into that final sector. Now you're going to have all that dirty air through this crucial final corner. I don't think Lordyboy's going to appreciate that one bit, but it's not classified as blocking. And it's not a bad lap, Lordy.
No, not at all. Into the top 10 goes the Ferrari driver. So AMS as a, under 5/10 away from Ashbest. So it's a McLaren 1-2. And Ashbest hopefully getting to him. And Oogie though has gone back up to second for Sauber. So we've got quite a few notable drivers. Big C is being in the pits. I don't think he's even been out to the track yet. CCbrain the same. Cliffy doesn't tend to come out straight away, so he's possibly and he indeed comes out. Here comes Cliffy, last season's championship runner-up, and I just want to mention what an epic title battle that was in the end between Ashbest and Cliffy, and that title decider at Suzuka. That was one of the most dramatic races I've ever seen. I don't know if you watched the stream back, Aaron, but what were you? I mean, if you were in Cliffy's position to lose the title like that, I mean, that must have been absolutely devastating for him.
It would have been devastating for him, but you know what? Unlike Cliffy, I would have had that title sewn up around the two to spare. There would have been no way that I would have let Ashbest go into the final race a couple of points behind. I would have used all means necessary to take him out of the equation, Mark. But you know, Cliffy, he could have put up a lot more fight, and I think he'll be a broken man this season. If I'm honest, I mean, losing the title in that fashion. I mean, what a valiant battle it was. I don't want to, you know, discredit him, but he'll be absolutely gutted, and we'll see what he can dish out at this race.
Yeah, we'll see what sort of mental strength Cliffy has to bounce back from that, because that is a hammer blow to lose a title. You know, level on points. Oh, yellow's in sector 3, and there's a Force India that's stopped on track. We just saw Cliffy go past, probably just letting Cliffy by, to be fair. Big C out on track now, so we've still got quite a few drivers. It's a full grid though. That's a pretty impressive achievement. In fact, so Lewis is here tonight. I didn't actually notice QPR was in the lobby. He must have joined very late. So he is shunning his revision to race in front of you folks. So show your appreciation for that man. So we have a full grid to start this season, so that's a big congratulations to everybody turning up tonight. So let's stick on board with Cliffy. If you could just keep an eye on Big C, Aaron. Is he on a flying lap yet?
I think he's going to start one, just warmed up so we can go on board with him after.
Yep, stick with Cliffy as we head towards the end of Sector 2. Quite a tricky braking zone, Sector 1, sorry. Tricky braking zone here. You have to get a really tight apex, otherwise you will slip wide and lose, you know, a couple of tenths heading up to the next set of corners. So obviously first round of the season, so no championship standings to discuss. The usual point system, in case some of you are first time watchers. 16 points for a win, all the way down to a point for finishing in 10th place.
That is a fantastic chicane there from Cliffy. Look at that commitment. I think he's on for a good lap, and I think he might be looking to bounce back, so I might have to chew my words out from earlier. Cliffy's on an absolutely great lap. Look at that, using as much track as possible. Yeah, through 14 and through 15, that's a really good apex as well. And now the final, oh no, and he must have gone in validation somewhere, because he comes back in. That's a shame, but let's switch to Big C. Oh, he spun it!
Big C! We just swapped the camera view, and we saw Big C halfway through spin. He's done a Valtteri Bottas. He has done a Valtteri Bottas in qualifying. And he may not have the time to get back. So Big C, the 7-time champion, may be starting from the back of the grid thanks to an uncharacteristic mistake. He must have taken too much speed through the chicane and put a wheel on the grass or something like that. Big C does a massive cut to try and get back to the pits in time. But he's going to be really pushing it, because it takes a while for the animation to kick in. But wow, that's a dramatic moment indeed, but he'll be kicking himself there as we see CCbrain, one of the Red Bulls, coming out for an outlap. So Oogie is out for an outlap. Ashbest and AMS, the two McLarens, seemingly waiting for the last possible moment. There's a gaggle of cars coming out on the track now. Can Big C come back out quickly enough? It's going to be very tight. I don't think he's going to make it, to be honest.
I think Lordyboy's starting the lap.
He is indeed. Let's have a look at Lordyboy, because most of the field are on outlaps at the moment. And JD's retired. What's happened to JD? Is he? Oh, he's good. You know, he went off at turn 1.
Oh dear, this is not what you want if you're Lordy. You've got cars. Oh, that's compromising these braking zone. Cars everywhere. Oh, that is distracting.
Yeah,
to say the least.
That really is. Well, a lot of drivers on their outlaps. Some of them have left it a little bit late, to be honest, to get out. I don't think Big C is going to get out in time. I think that mistake will be absolutely costly. But QPR, he's in 7th at the moment, so he'll be pretty happy with that on his F1 return. Speaking of the other rookies, let's see, Wocko is currently in 11th, and then we got, well, CCbrain hasn't set a time yet. So he'll be hoping to get something decent towards XJackLacey, though. Is closer in less than 3 tenths of Ashbest, but his qualifying session is over. So might switch back to Lordy in a second, but I just want to see AMS going through. Whoa! And he had a bit of a moment on the back end, but he saves it, but I think that would have cost him a tenth or two. So actually Lordyboy looks like he's going to reach the line first.
He's got traffic.
He's got traffic. No, that's it. He's not going to be able to get through Hellboy. No, Hellboy's not. Now AMS I wanted to see, because AMS, this will be maybe not his last run, because there's still 40 seconds of the session to go here in qualifying, but it's not a good lap at all. Oogie flying through sector 2 into sector 3, and he's gone ever so slightly quicker than his best time. And Yellow's in sector 1. Little's
out.
Is that a crash, or is he just given up?
It's a disastrous accident. He's just gone straight off there. I don't know what's going through his mind, but he's.
Oh my goodness! He's had a that's down at turn 3. He's had a bit of an Alonso-style accident there. Big C indeed couldn't get out in time. Oogie heading for the line. What's this going to be for Oogie Azeem? He doesn't improve. Well, actually he does slightly, but not enough to improve his grip position. AMS is still going. What about Ashbest? Oh, and AMS nearly losing the back of the car there, and that will be his qualifying finish. I'm trying to get hold of Ashbest. Where is he? There's Ashbest. Is anyone else in the top? Ashbest! He's lost the back end.
Unbelievable.
Oh, Ashbest.
Out there. Greeny's out there. He could be a surprise package. He's got a lot of pace here. And Ashbest isn't safe. He did a 20.3 early. I saw drivers to the mid-20s, so he isn't safe.
No, he's not indeed. And well, that is another twist. We've seen the reigning PSGL F1 champion and one of the former champions having big offs on this track. It's a treacherous circuit here. Greeny, I think he was down in sector 2, to be honest, so I don't think this is going to be good enough for pole. It might improve. Indeed it does. Up to third. But is anyone else out there? Oogie Azeem has improved by nearly 2/10, but he'll need slightly more to take pole. What about, there's Lewis is out there as well. I'm gonna stick on board with Oogie though. Where is where's Lewis? Lewis is on a flying lap. Lewis, we know, has got brilliant qualifying pace. We saw that last season. Oogie heading for the line. Is this going to be? No, he doesn't improve. He lost time. He lost. Well, very interesting. And I think that is the end of our conversation. So despite that incident, Ashbest will take the first pole position of the season with a 1:21 flat. So his banker time, right at the beginning of the session, was good enough. So even with the track evolution, nobody could get to that time. It's quite surprising we didn't see anyone dip into the 1:20s.
I think that's what you call pressure, Mark. And these drivers are under a lot of pressure to deliver under the watchful eye, under the pinnacle of PSGL Formula 1 racing. But it's Ashbest on pole position here today.
I know, but look at the back row. Cliffy and Big C will be on the back row of the grid. I don't think anyone would have predicted that. So here's our results then for qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix PSGL F1. Ashbest takes pole position for 1:21.061. XJackLacey in second. Greeny, Oogie, CCbrain, Sambamkid, AMS, Wocko on his debut in 8th place. 9th for QPR, Maxi in the top 10. Then outside the top 10 we have Lewis, Shortbread, Hellboy, JD, Joel, Lordyboy, Paudie, Lickle, Cliffy and 7-time champion Big C at the back of the grid off that huge off we saw for him, and one of 2 drivers not set a time whatsoever. Wow. Just about got through that in time. But yeah, no, I mean, as we saw last season, every point could count. You know, the last 2 seasons, the championship's been decided by no more than a point. So getting a bad result, even in one race, could, you know, destroy your championship chances. As we have 30 seconds to go before the start of this race. Bright sunshine then above the beautiful city of Melbourne as we get ready for a 50% race of this brilliant circuit, where overtaking will be at a premium. There's 2 DRS zones, one on the home straight, then the second one between turns 2 and 3. So we will hopefully see a fair amount of overtakes. I think we'll see some overtakes out of the chicane as well, going into turn 13, because they've struggled that all race. So here we go then, Aaron. We got the 5 red lights, and we got Ashbest, and well, it looks like the time screens are a bit messed up at the moment, but Ashbest gets a decent start away from the line. For some reason it's... Oh, the cameras just went crazy there for a second, I apologise. But Ashbest sweeps into the lead, and Greeny is behind him in the Williams. So look for I think that's a Sauber just behind.
I think everybody's got away well, that's great there. Anybody can lose a wing. It's really tight in that midfield. They've really got to crawl it around.
Oh, side by side, the Mercedes. Sorry, the Haas of Sambam.
Look, Joel, he's lost positions.
Sambam fighting the Williams of double CCbrain for 5th place. The time screens have reset, thankfully, because he said Lickle was in lead. We obviously know he wasn't. So that was a bit confusing for the start. I apologise for that. Hashtag Codemasters glitch. But look at that behind. AMS under attack from the Toro Rosso of MaxiLuca, who's moved up a couple of places. A good start from the Toro Rosso driver.
Yeah, it's a reasonably clean getaway there, Mark. But Ashbest crucially got away well. And Greeny up into second. He could be on for a great race now. Once you get clean air around here, you can absolutely put away. It's absolutely crucial.
Oh, and a Force India in the background. That's Hellboy. Hellboy running wide. I just saw that from the rear view of Wocko. Wocko up to 10th place. I think, you know, I'm sure he'll have chances, but I think it'll be all about just keeping it clean and finishing this race and getting into the points to make his F1 debut. Anything else would be a bonus from his point of view. But he's under attack from Louisw03, who hasn't actually gained any positions. He's in 11th place at the moment. Uncharacteristically poor qualifying session from the Toro Rosso driver. It's trying to attack the Sauber Wocko right now. This is an interesting little clash here early on between the rookie and one of the rookies from last season, Louisw03. So what are your impressions of the start, Aaron, so far?
It's a clean getaway, but look at that, the top 10 runners all on ultra softs crucially, so that just shows the top 10 got away well. But there's been changes at the bottom end. Cliffy's had a good start all the way from the back of the grid. Joel's dropped down a few positions, but crucially different strategies.
Watch out for Shortbread. Shortbread's making a move on Lewis, but Lewis slams the door. Super softs for Lewis, Shortbread on the soft, so differing strategies. Nobody outside the top 10 actually opting for the ultra softs, so...
Oh, there's going to be a move at the chicane.
Oh, nearly. Shortbread, wiggle banging. The midfield's as furious as ever. I'm going to have a look at the front in a moment. Ashbest already out of DRS range of Greeny. So Greeny will probably be defending from Oogie shortly. DRS will be enabled at the end of this lap.
I don't think we can keep our eyes off this midfield, Mark, but you just sense that something's going to happen, and for all the wrong reasons.
Indeed. And look at that behind. Can Lewis get close? Hopefully we get no disconnects or anything like that. So, because obviously the lack of slipstream would be really devastating for this race. It's a poor exit from Wocko, and I think Lewis is going to have a run on the outside. He's going to go late on the brakes. Lewis doesn't really have energy. Going to try and get the switch back, but to be fair to Wocko, he places the car nicely to defend the position for now. And that's actually going to compromise Lewis a little bit. Might put him into the clutches of Shortbread behind. And indeed, that's exactly what happens, because Shortbread says thank you very much and moves up to 11th place. It's a huge train. The Wocko train is running wild here at Melbourne. And Shortbread, having just taken Lewis, he's going to try and go late on the brakes. And Shortbread does it, but he runs wide and he may lose the place back to Wocko, and indeed he does. That slight mistake, and they nearly went 3 wide for a second there, which is an insane place to do it. And JD, oh, it's been a disaster for lap for Lewis. Really has been.
Big C's gone. Big C's out. No, he's not. He's still continuing.
Oh, Big C is out of the race.
What a disaster!
I can't look at him just yet. A quick look at Big C's, and it's what a disaster for the former 7-time PSGL F1 champion, and it's all happening in the midfield. Lewis has retaken JD. Wow, this is incredible.
Just can't keep up with the action here today. I know Lordyboy's under threat there from both the Force Indias behind as well on his 100th Grand Prix.
Well, it's a race to forget for Connor, but I'm sure he'll bounce back. He was a race winner here last season, but we're just going to switch to the battle for 4th place, because CCbrain's having an excellent debut in PSGL F1 so far. He's running in 5th at the moment, and he's bringing the Mercedes, the sole running Mercedes left in this race of XJackLacey, the former PSGL F1 champion himself. 8 points up for grabs. But look at that, Ashbest. It's slightly Schumacher-esque, his dominance of the race so far. Lap 4, and he's already got a 2.5 second advantage to Greeny.
Got to keep pulling away, but he's got to find that pit stop window to perfection, because you can get undercut here. So he's got to keep pulling.
Well, let's have a look back at Louisw03, because he's still trying to get past his Sauber of Wocko. They've been going ding-dong battle for several laps now. Lewis has lost places, and then he's regained them. Shortbread, the main beneficiary, and he's running 10th on the soft tyre compound. Louisw03 going for a move into the penultimate pair of corners, and he's going to try and take it around the outside through the final corner. Oh, they nearly touch. Well, that could have been a huge accident.
JD, free of breath. This is going to be an incredible
free of breath.
Who's going to spin out?
It's JD. And Lewis has been squeezed, and there's contact. Big contact.
Oh my goodness. Would you believe it?
Lewis.
A Lordyboy did some damage and all that.
Yeah, I know. I think Lewis got spun around in the sort of aftermath of that 3 wides, and then Lordyboy had nowhere to go, unfortunately, so that's really bad luck in his 100th race. Wocko's fallen down to 15th, the reigning F3 champion. He's not really enjoying his F1 debut at this point. He's just been absolutely hammered from all sides throughout the entire race, and we're only on lap 5.
Yeah, and Lewis is surely out of this party and fight early on this season. That's just a horrendous way.
And around the outside, Lickle trying to get past Cliffy. Cliffy and Lickle, they're fighting for 13th place. This is not where they want to be at this early stage of the season. And just a rundown of the top 5 then: Ashbest, Greeny, Oogie, XJackLacey and CCbrain still trying to challenge. Sambam has actually closed the gap, so it's more of a, the top 6, AMS, Eastham, DRS Rangers, there's MaxiLuca as well, and we've got to mention QPRBeasts, the other Louis here. He's in 9th place, so despite saying I don't want to revise tonight, he's doing very well. And Cliffy pits. Is that wing damage for Cliffy? Yeah, it looks like he's missing a few end plates, so quite an early stop for the soft tyres, so it must be damage related. There's positions changing everywhere in midfield. And wow, the 2 Red Bulls, 14th and 15th. That's not what Christian Horner would have wanted, Imran.
No, but you know what? The race is long, and these Red Bull drivers will know that. And I know Joel and Paudie have got some history between each other. They used to battle occasionally last season, so to have them both in the same team could be interesting. Yellow flag somewhere. I don't know where they are. It's Lickle blocks. I think it's Lickle. He's out.
Lickle.
He's got a puncher.
Yeah, no, Lickle has lost it. That's between 5 and 6. And he's got wing damage on the left-hand side. So, Greeny picks up a 3-second penalty. So that may put him under pressure from Oogie. So we have seen a lot of the midfield action, but we should actually have a look at the battle for the podium. Because, let's be honest, unless Ashbest throws it away like he did in qualifying almost, his race pace looks far too strong, especially as some of those who could challenge him have had absolute disasters so far.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race from now on. I think all the ultra soft runners, I think they're going to be comfortably in the points at this stage. But it all depends on where they feed back out after their pit stops. Because if they feed back out behind Paudie, who's on the softs, he's not going to be an easy customer to get past.
No, he certainly will be. I mean, that's one of the critical things about the Australia race, because it's more or less going to be a guaranteed one stop for everybody, whatever strategy they're going to pick. But picking that right moment to get out into the traffic, finding that gap, that clear air, is so important, because if you get caught behind someone even for a lap, it can really compromise the strategy you were going for, as we saw when people were caught up behind Wocko for several laps.
Yeah, and Sambamkid's got a bit of a train foreman behind him in 6th at the moment, so I'm sure those ultrasofts are going to be wearing out. Here we go, we've got a battle here. It's MaxiLuca on AMS, and I think he's got the move done. That is a crucial move this early in the race. Track position is so important around Albert Park.
Yeah, good move from Maxi, making his move up into 7th place. Bit of a reputation for being involved in incidents last season and picking up penalties, so he'll be looking for basically a clean season, because we know he's got the pace. He's a former winner at this level, won at Bahrain a couple of seasons ago, so we know he can do it. He just needs to keep out of trouble.
Oh, there's a mistake. Sambamkid's gone wide, and I think he's going to lose a couple of positions.
Yeah, he's lost one place. Oh dear.
I think he's picked up damage. I'm not sure if he's picked up damage on one of those end gates.
Maybe on the right hand side. I can't tell from this angle, but yeah, Sambam dropping down.
Louis having a go. QPRBeasts, here we go. Can he make a move around the outside? Yep. He's got to get the braking spot on.
QPR on his favourite Renault. He loves the Renault. He would probably sleep in a Renault if he could. But he's... Oh, they big bang of wheels there. Sambam defending aggressively as he has the right to. But can Louis come back at him at the end of Sector 1? No, he can't. But Sambam runs wide again. Cliffy setting the fast lap of the race in this time race. He's gone for the ultra soft, so he's probably going to go for a 2-stop from where he is and try and just have the quickest tyres and get back into the points. Probably the only strategy he can really go for at this point.
Oh, I disagree. I think he could have maybe stayed out a little bit longer on his current set. I think he's just really, it's just really hard to recover around here.
I think though he may have had wing damage, so I think he had to come in. Okay. So I think he's gone for an aggressive strategy because there's no point doing so. Oof, and CCbrain getting a snap of oversteer towards the end of the lap. And up ahead, Oogie keeping Greeny honest. It's nearly 5 seconds in top 2. We probably won't see much of Ashbest in this race, to be honest. And Jack indeed is in. Had enough of those ultra softs, lap 9. And also Greeny in as well. What's Greeny going to do? He goes for a soft compound. XJackLacey, he's gone for... Is that a soft compound? I think it is.
Yes, it is. So it's going to be interesting where they all feed back out. I think Greeny's had a really terrific stint. I think he'll be safe from...
It's going to be a bit...
Might not be.
Yeah, Greeny's come out in relatively clean air. He's got 4 seconds up the road. JD.
Paudie and Jack.
Crucial. XJackLacey on my screen looks like he's got ultra softs, but he's on softs, I do believe. It wouldn't make sense to be on the ultra softs at this stage. XJackLacey, usually a wily customer when it comes to the old strategies. Paudie not going to be able to challenge. He's on 9-lap old softs against fresh softs there. XJackLacey quickly scampering off into the distance. So then a run down the top 10. Ashbest, Oogie, CC, Maxi, AMS, QPR, Shortbread, Hellboy, JD and Greeny. So I think Jack and Greeny will be quite pleased that they've come out in clean air like that so they can use the undercut. Because the likes of Oogie, Brain, Maxi and AMS, they'll be pitting very soon. As Cliffy picks up a 3-second time penalty just to add insult to injury on how his night has gone so far.
Penalties could settle who finishes where at the end of this race. It's such an easy track to pick up penalties. As we see all of the front runners in Oogie as well, so will Oogie be undercut by XJackLacey? I know the gap wasn't too distant, so he's going to be covering Jack off here, but it's going to be incredibly tight. It's
a whole gaggle of pit stops as XJackLacey rounds the final corner. So where's he going to end up? AMS, Louis, CCbrain, Maxi and Oogie all in the pit lane, and they've all gone to the soft compound. Jack has got past all of them, as has Greeny. But Oogie has actually got out in front of XJackLacey still, so it's kind of a status quo in terms of the... Although actually it looks like... Yeah, CCbrain has actually dropped behind Maxi in the pit stops, so must have maybe got held in the pit lane. A lot of cars are in the pit lane, so Maxi's been able to get past him because he was right behind XJackLacey. So in terms of cars out of position in the top 10, Yellow's in sector 1. I don't know who that is. And Cliffy is out of the race. Wow. Disaster. 1 Mercedes, 1 Ferrari out of the race, and that is similar place where Lickle crashed in qualifying. Well, and he's left the session as well, so that's a slipstream glitch confirmed.
Well, that's what you call an absolute shambles. A driver who bottled it in qualifying, bottled it with his title lead last season, and now bottles it
pits
at round
from
1.
The lead. Sorry to interrupt you, Aaron, but
that's all right.
But the number 1 from last season, number 1 on track as he pits, but Shortbread is actually going to get in front of him, so this could be interesting. Ashbest will probably catch up. Oh, now Hellboy is coming down. Ashbest will be hoping, no, I must get past Hellboy. Oh, this is going to be interesting. They're going to go side by side in turn 1. Hellboy sweeps in front of him. So out of position, but Ashbest now has 2 cars in front of him, and that could be a changing moment in the race. If Ashbest can't get past Hellboy quickly, or Hellboy doesn't pit anytime soon, then that big lead he had to Greeny is going to evaporate rapidly.
Well, I think you've just got to stay patient here, Ash. You can't force a pass through against a driver on worn tyres. You know they've got to pit soon. Just pick the right moment. Don't go diving down the inside at random corners. You've got this race in the bag. You will be the net race leader. Just be patient. That's my advice to him. But how he takes it, it's anybody's guess here because he's got much fresher tyres. And I don't know if Hellboy's going to be able to keep him behind much longer. But it is a difficult track to overtake.
Yep. So Hellboy got some understeer through the chicane, and I think he's going to be under attack from Ashbest right now. But Hellboy's going to go defensive. What's Ashbest going to do? Oh, Ashbest has a little look, but yeah, sensible drive from Ashbest. There was a slight gap, but it was never on for an overtake. Meanwhile, Greeny is rapidly closing on JD behind, so the net gap was about 5 seconds. It's probably more about 3 seconds now. So Ashbest probably really needs to get moved on as Hellboy stays out. Hellboy not going defensive. Ashbest getting closer and closer, but is he going to be close enough for a move? No, he's not. I think the lack of slipstream will be hurting Ashbest at this moment in time. So you may need to think about a late move into turn 3. He has a look. No, again he can't get past. Meanwhile, Greeny with an aggressive move past JD, and he can now give chase to the two ahead and maybe put Ashbest under the sort of pressure he wasn't expecting when he made his first and maybe one and only pit stop.
Yeah, but Ashbest will know that Greeny has a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, so
absolutely
you've just got to be patient here. Don't do anything silly, but you know what happens if you wait too long. Greeny closes up, you could end up in a collision. So it's anybody's guess what's going to happen here.
Yeah,
but Ash will need to get this move done, I think.
He does indeed, because even the act of overtaking Hellboy, he could end up going deep into a corner, which would open the door for Greenies. The gap is 1.8 seconds, so he's got a bit of a cushion. He's got a bit of time to get this move done, but he can't wait too long. So we're going to stick on board with this because this is a critical moment for the battle of the lead of this race. So 2 retirements so far from the 20 who started. Last season's runner-up.
He's got the drive.
He has indeed got the...
go to the inside. He goes late. He should have gone earlier. He should have gone earlier. Look at that.
They're going to bang wheels.
Right up against the wall.
Ashbest gets the move done. It's a really good pass. And Ashbest, well, he was one of the most aggressive overtakers last season, and he sniffed the opportunity. And Hellboy, he should have gone defensive earlier, but maybe he didn't have the tyres to go across the track quickly enough.
And Sam's in again. Sambamkid's in again. I know AMS and Paudie are going to get up close and personal soon, so this might be one of our next on-track battles. Greeny and Hellboy obviously as well. They'll be battling quite close, but this is for the final point here for AMS. I believe everybody else in front of him have made their final pit stops.
Yes, I do believe
so. Hellboy.
Do believe so. Let's have a look. Shortbread hasn't pitted either. It's just Shortbread, Hellboy, JD and Paudie, the only 4 out there who haven't pitted yet. Ashbest picks up a 3-second time penalty, but that may not matter if he can just eke out the gap. He's already significantly faster and getting away from Hellboy as you would expect. He's got a just under 6-second gap to Shortbread. Shortbread will probably be pitting fairly soon.
Here we go on Paudie down the inside, so it's going to be a good move.
Watch out for the Renault behind.
Oh, he's got to go for it. He's got to go for it. Yes,
he has indeed. That was smart from Louis. He just sort of... Paudie went deep and that opened the door. And maybe they're going to fight. Hellboy pits then. He was on the Supersoft. 14 laps on the Supersoft. That's not a bad effort from Hellboy, has to be said. But he's not going to go on the Ultras from there. So he's gone for the safe sort of strategy there. He'll have fresh softs at the end though.
And Lordyboy not having a great race in his 100th Grand Prix, but he's just got to enjoy the occasion and let it all sink in and just bring that car home. But JD has got a queue of cars behind him, and Oogie Azeem really needs to get the move done, otherwise XJackLacey will be snapping at the heels. Former F1 champion here. He'll be wanting to start the season in good style. He's got the pace, but has he got the mental stability, XJackLacey?
Yes, well, XJackLacey, a former PSGL F1 champion, so we know he's more than capable of reaching the highest of highs in this particular division. So as one Renault in QPRBeasts makes a move, the other Renault JD is now having to defend desperately, but I don't think he's going to have any answer to Oogie Azeem, who's one of the best in terms of tyre management. Easily will get the one stop done here, and he passes JD, moves up to 4th, now in a really good position for the podium, especially if XJackLacey can't get past JD quickly. But as Aaron mentioned, yes, Oogie went deep, so will that open the door for JD to come back at him?
JD here, DRS wide open, but I think it's more about defending that position rather than making inroads here, because XJackLacey, he will want to get that move done ASAP. He doesn't want to spend another lap behind JD. He's had some words to say about JD in the past as Jack, publicly and behind closed doors, but he will not be enjoying this moment one bit. He wants to fight for the podium. There's drivers in front of him who've got penalties, and that's crucial for Oogie as well, because if he closes up to Greeny and gets past him, Ashbest could be under threat, but I don't know if Oogie's quite got the pace.
Yes, well, I mean, unless there's, oh, Joel is out of the race from 14th. We'll just have a quick look what happened to him, and he is pulled off the track just after turn 2, so maybe he just called it a day. Sambam's had an incident as well. I don't know if that's related, but Sambam's miserable race continues. He was running so well early on in the top 10. Now he's dropped right to the back of the field. Had to make an extra pit stop for a wing change, I believe. Just want to have a look at JD.
No points for Joel on this occasion, one of the more experienced names in the PSGL F1 league as well, so sad end to his race. Yeah,
your teammate from last season, so I'm sure you'll be cheering him on in every single race, but yeah, it's been 3 of the more experienced F1 drivers have been the retirements. All the rookies still going.
Yeah, and one of those names, Big C, here we go. He's looking on his teammate XJackLacey. Can he make a move on JD? I forgot who was in the Mercedes for a second, but what an overtake. That is what you call
it was a great overtake, but he did pick up a penalty which may ruin any chance he has of getting on the podium. So he got 1 step forward but took 2 steps back in the same moment. And meanwhile, MaxiLuca has been just quietly going about his business. He's had a very good race so far. He's no penalties for MaxiLuca, which is very unusual based off of the last couple of seasons. So maybe he sort of bucked his ideas in terms of his sort of on-track accuracy.
Yeah, but, and I don't think JD's going to make it too difficult for MaxiLuca. They are good friends, are the pair of them. But I know that MaxiLuca did hurt for him when he was ditched by his former teammate Cliffy, and I think he's proven the point here today that, you know, I've got it, and, you know, this is what you're missing out on. Cliffy's DNF, Lordyboy down in 16, while MaxiLuca's driving an absolutely phenomenal race.
Yeah, one half of last season's Constructors' Championship, of course, here, and so, yeah, as you say, certainly got points proved. Cliffy said thanks, no thanks, and opted for the experience of Lordyboy instead. But speaking of experience, Lordyboy is being caught by Sambam, and Maxi goes for a late lunge down the inside. Well, that was clumsy, but it's going to get the job done. And I think
he's going to be under
JD's pitted.
CCbrain.
He certainly is.
He'll advise. Go down to the inside. Look at him squeezing down the inside.
He's squeezing him. Oh, squeezing.
Disgusting driving. And he gets the move under CCbrain and shows him where the edge of the track is. That's what I'd do. I'd even put him into the fucking wall.
Well, some James Hunt style commentary there from Iran. And I'm not going to apologise because this isn't Channel 4. So, MaxiLuca, to be fair, that aggressive defending did him no good because he lost end plates on his wing. So, we were just saying what a good race he was having, and he's just thrown it away, frankly. Ashbest then has closed onto the back of Shortbread. Now, we know Shortbread isn't usually a shrinking violet when it comes to defending. So, is he going to make it easy for Ashbest? I very much doubt it. I mean, if this was...
He'll be in very soon for Ultrasofts. He cannot keep that car out there much longer because he's not going to feed back out into a great position, and it's not easy to overtake around Melbourne. So I guess he'll be in either at the end of this lap or next lap, but he would not want to waste time squabbling.
No, I agree with that. So what is Shortbread? No, Shortbread carries on. I think he fancies fighting Ashbest for this position, even if it's a forlorn confusion. But no, he goes defensive straight away. Ashbest is not going to. Is going to have to take it to the outside. This big moment in this race. Ashbest has gone off. Oh, and Shortbread squeezed him off, but I think Shortbread had the corner, to be fair. Again, I don't think Ashbest really needed to make that move, and he's he may have. Luckily, he's got a big gap, so it shouldn't hurt his chances ultimately. Up ahead, he's got Sambamkid, who's been lapped by his teammate Shortbread, who still leads this race. But that was some very feisty defending from Shortbread. I did say he was not going to make it easy, and he certainly didn't. I don't think Ashbest can have too many complaints about that, because it was. I think he probably should have backed out of it. I don't think he was ever going to get that move done there. So pit stops for. Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that. Just saw that Paudie and MaxiLuca made pit stops. Is that another pit stop for Paudie? Because he was one of the ones. No, that's his first stop. So he's running in 14th. No penalties. He might still have a chance of getting to the points. Just going to stick with Sambam and Ashbest, because, well, Sambam's on fresh ultra softs at the moment. Just came in again. Yeah, third stop of the race. So it's been an absolute shocker for Sambam. But he's got Shortbread right in front of him. His teammate. He's trying to unlap himself. I'm sure Sambam will just let him pass.
No, they might just stay together here. He will not want to cost his teammate any time.
Oh, 5-second penalty for ignoring a blue flag for Shortbread. This is shades of liquor blocks from Silverstone last season, just a little bit.
Yeah, and why not? You know, Sambam's on fresh tyres. He wants to make a move on Shortbread. It's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, but he gets out the way in the end. But meanwhile, we're just going to have a quick look at the battle for 14th. Lewis, well, what a miserable race he's had. You know, one of the pre-season favourites, and it just goes to show, if you invalidate laps in qualifying and don't get the job done, this is what can happen. You end up in the midfield in F1. It's highly competitive and difficult to get out of. A bit like the championship in football. You really want to be in the Premier League right at the front in terms of pole position, because that's where most of the clear space will be. We're going to have a quick look back at Ashbest, because he's challenging Shortbread once again. And wait a minute, Sambam right behind him again.
Yeah, he's on much fresher tyres, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him pull off an overtake. It's slightly naughty, but you know what? Why not have a bit of fun when you're battling down there in 17?
Well, Ashbest will probably know that Shortbread hasn't pitted, or maybe he doesn't. But he'll probably just wait for Shortbread to get out of the way and maybe just let that Haas go. He's in a Haas sandwich, quite literally.
Yeah, this could get tasty down to turn 1.
This could be a very unusual free-wide situation right here. And look at that, Ashbest trying to squeeze down the inside. He's got the inside this time, and he nudges Shortbread off, and Shortbread spins.
Oh my goodness! Shortbread has spun. No points for him this afternoon. He's not going to recover from that. That is indeed absolutely embarrassing. I think Ashbest just gave it back. I wouldn't be surprised to see a steward's inquiry. That is absolutely.
And now the lapped car, Sambam battling. Ashbest just needs to let him go. He's got a huge gap to Greeny. Just let the Haas go. Don't need to battle him. This is a lack of experience showing from Ashbest. But in terms of that overtake, I think Ashbest, like Shortbread in their incident before, I think this time he had the corner, he had the inside.
He had the corner, but he had to respect the space of the car on the outside. If I was Shortbread, I'd be absolutely fuming. But here we go, Sambamkid unlapping himself from Ash, and Ash lets him go. He's listened to you, he's got the stream on, and he's saying, you know what, I've just got to take it as it comes. And all this battling has allowed Oogie Azeem in third to nearly be within 3 seconds of Ashbest. So if he gets any closer, Ashbest could lose this race.
Yeah, and Ashbest, the back end, he nearly lost it there. Coming into turn 14, but he's got to be careful, Ashbest. You know, he looks a bit hot under the collar at the moment. It was going so smoothly for him early on in the race in the first stint. These battles with these Haas drivers, for whatever reason, have really got under his skin just a little bit. Just needs to calm down. So Greeny in second, Oogie in third, XJackLacey in fourth. Just see if there's any other battles on track. Oh, Hellboy. Seems to be a change of position going on there between Hellboy.
Oh, Shortbread, oh, he's come under some traffic. Wocko's had a poor exit and just has allowed JD to launch in an assault here as we go into the final sector. Wocko pits.
So more wing damage. Wocko's having a F1 debut to forget, frankly, but he's probably going to maybe come away with the consolation prize of the fast lap. That's probably the only reason he's pitting right now. And Shortbread pitting as well. Well, he was going so well on the one stop, but it's all gone wrong for him. So no points for Haas team today. You know, again, another team who could potentially be dark horses with the constructors, but not with results like this. So Ashbest, I think he's sort of got clean air now, so he is putting the gap now, 2.3 seconds gap between the top two. It's quite large gaps, a lot of the top 10, so most of the action appears to be in the midfield. So I'm going to have a look at Little Blocks. He's just ahead of Paudie, who's got fresh super soft, so this could be interesting.
Yeah, and Lewis right behind. He cannot find a way past that Red Bull. If he can, he could have half a shout for that final point, but Paudie absolutely ruining his chances, and that's what happens. You know, that is what I call a bottle job. When you fail in qualifying, you're going to fail in the race, especially around Melbourne. And you know, Louis has got no safety car, no wet weather to bail him out on this one, and it's all out there for show and criticism.
Yeah, I agree with you entirely, Aaron. Along with Monaco and Hungary, Australia is one of those tracks where qualifying is so important, because overtaking very, very difficult around here, especially as most people run similar wing setups, and if there's a slipstream glitch as well, well, you're in double trouble. And I think that's what Lewis is really discovering here. Lewis just stuck behind. Paudie's fresh supersofts are helping, of course, and that's a poor exit from Lickle, so that may allow Paudie to challenge for 11th place. They're nowhere near the points, these two, but they're going to try and get some pride out of this race at least.
Yeah, I mean, if you get into 11th, you've always got a chance for that final point, because anything can happen up above the road, and Paudie will want to get this move done. Oh, that's too much movement in the braking zone.
That could open the door for Lewis, but no, it doesn't, surprisingly. He went very deep.
Yeah, but
Paudie recovers.
In the braking zone, Mark, you know, as a driver, you cannot do that. You've committed to the inside. Paudie's committed to brake on the outside with that fresher grip that he's got on those super softs, and Little slightly naughty with that manoeuvre there. Yeah,
was a slightly late move, but luckily Paudie reacted and didn't get any damage of it. I think Lickle's been on those soft tyres some time now, so I think this is why we're seeing him struggle. Seems to be a bit of a battle brewing between the Haas teammates, this time on the same lap. But it's a poor exit from Paudie, and that could open the door for Lewis. He sort of got caught in the dirty air of the Force India ahead. Lewis, no, he doesn't go low on the brakes, just didn't see the opportunity there. So I think that was correct.
Showing respect to Paudie, which is good, which is what you always want in this league. Lordyboy's out!
Oh, Lordyboy!
And that Will Tether is out. And Lordyboy fighting for his career, round one. And he's out of the
my
race.
Goodness, what a disaster it's been for Scuderia Ferrari, both their cars out of the race. The experienced Lordyboy, the championship contender Cliffy, they're both out, and it's not the start that Maranello wanted, that is for sure. And yeah, well, we've just been joined in the pit lane by Big C. So Aaron, just have some brief words with the 7-time champion, see what happened.
Yeah, Big C, a disastrous accident on that one. Just sum up your emotions following that retirement.
Obviously, you know, quality was big problems. I ran 11 by less and a few issues. I've just gone the fight. I don't know if you've seen what Shortbread and Sambamkid doing to Ash. Like, they're trying to disrupt his race on purpose, so you know, it's unacceptable. I think we need to keep an eye on that, please. But yeah, disaster for me, but well done Brazil. But hopefully I can get through it because you know, the tactics.
Oh, Ashbest!
It's not great.
Oh my
anyway,
goodness!
Enjoy.
Thank you. Well, thank you for making us aware of that, because Ashbest
that does make sense
behind these two drivers. And you know what? Shortbread and Sambamkid are very good friends. They're battling for 15th and 16th. A disastrous day for Gene Haas. And the fact
the fact that Shortbread has dropped so far behind from 14th, I do think we're about to get, frankly, a bit of a shameful moment in PSGL F1 if this is indeed how it acts out. And you know, if this is indeed the case, then well, these two Haas drivers may not be racing here for much longer, but hopefully they're just battling each other, and when the blue flags are shown, they get out of the race, the way rather, of the race leader. Wocko sets a fast lap of the race out of nowhere, 1:23, so yes, he may be on for the consolation prize of the fastest lap. So
just to say something, Mark, you know, this sort of driving is not what you want to see on PSGL F1 sites. It's the reason why I've moved down to F4 to race with some experienced drivers who, you know, show class and determination no matter who they're battling. But this is absolutely disgraceful. Blue flags are being shown. Ashbest has got a time penalty, and you know, Sambamkid has got no intentions of letting Ashbest through here. And well, this is
this is race ban material, unfortunately. Ignoring the yellows like this, sorry, not yellows, the blue flags, and the two Haas teammates actually going side by side ahead of Ashbest. We'll just keep an eye on that.
What an overtake from Sambamkid right down the inside.
Was indeed. They're having some fun, but it's at the detriment of the race leader, unfortunately. They really need to get out of his way. You know, faster cars behind, you get out of the way. They're both on the ultra softs. That sort of doubles the conundrum for Ashbest. He doesn't have the tyre wear just to sort of overtake them, as he probably would be able to in normal circumstances. But we have to keep an eye on this, because this, you know, again, Sambam has probably well over 15 seconds penalties, and he gets out of the way finally. So now
disqualified.
Yep, Sambam disqualified. Well, hang your head in shame, Sambam. That if you're getting disqualified for ignoring blue flags, you deserve everything that's coming to you. So Shortbread peels off to the left and moves out of the way.
He will re-attack here, and oh my goodness, there's a little slap of the wing and it goes.
What's he doing? He's forced him off. He's forced him off.
Absolutely shambolic.
Oh no! This is
like watching car crash television.
This is absolutely ridiculous. What the Haas team are doing right here. And now it's allowed Greeny to close in and Oogie Azeem. So the Williams and Sauber closing in, but I don't know if they're going to be aware of what's going on. They probably think Ashbest has made a mistake or something, so they just got to race what's in front of them. You know, it's not their fault that this is going on.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening here, Venom. I think some of our spectators here tonight, they're absolutely shocked in the comment section. They cannot believe their luck, and one of the drivers tuning in today is Baker's F1, former PSGL F1 winner, Constructors winner as well, so he'll be finding this moment quite shambolic. Someone who's eyed up for a return. Maybe he should have been on the grid.
Well, you know, Sambam, Shortbread, they've been on the F1 grid multiple times and they've been given another chance. You know, they didn't have any controversy previously. They just left to go back to F2 or whatever, so there was no sort of controversy toward those two, but their actions here today certainly. So, but you know, again, Ashbest is fortunate that his pace has been as it is. Greeny and Oogie, it looks like Ashbest has just sort of backed off from Shortbread for the time being, and that's probably the best thing he can do right now. But you know, there's going to be a lot of stewards having a look at this with interest. So we're just going to have a brief look at Wocko, because he's running in 13th, but he's actually closed onto the back of Lewis and Lickle. So this could be a very interesting scrap for 11th place. And Oogie's right on the back of Greeny. Oogie Azeem, I do believe, Aaron, has no penalties at this stage. Is that correct?
He has no penalties, but the longer he spends behind Greeny, the less chance he's got of winning this race, because Greeny is that roadblock in the way. So Oogie will pick up a top 2 finish, whatever happens, but I think Ashbest might get away with it. But with 3 laps to go, Shortbread and Ashbest are getting up close and personal once again.
Yeah, so I'm just going to switch back to that shortly, but we could have a potential 3-wide situation on the home straight. Lickle has defended very well from Lewis. I think the lack of slipstream has helped him, of course. Doesn't go defensive in the end. Wocko's got much better tyres at this stage of the race. Paudie wasn't able to get past Lickle. Don't know if he had an incident or wing damage or something, because he's dropped back down to 14th.
Yeah, I just feel as if the battle for the lead here, Ashbest behind Shortbread, is a lot more entertaining. I think, as much as we don't want to see this, we've got to keep our eyes on it. Look at that. Look at that, multiple warnings for Wocko, but Shortbread is, oh no, look at that down the inside.
He is blatantly blocking him out, and Ashbest is just the back of the house. This is the worst incident I've seen in terms of blocking since Silverstone last season.
Mark. If I was Human Fish watching it today, I would ban the pair of them off the site, because you know, this is such a high-profile league, a high-profile site, and seeing people mess around like that is absolutely disgraceful. PSGL F1 racing under a cloud, and Ashbest is having a rainy day. He goes into the grass, and this is not how you want to lose a race.
Yep. Because as it stands, he hasn't got the time gap to Oogie. Oogie's going to win this race in perhaps the most controversial circumstances of any race I've ever covered. And you know, there's a lot of words I want to say about Shortbread right now, but I'm going to keep it clean. But Lewis still in 12th position behind Lickle, but we're going to focus on this because this is the story. This is headline news. This is the equivalent of an F1 style scandal.
Yeah, it's a horrendous scandal. Shortbread should definitely be disqualified soon if he holds Ashbest up much longer. I think Ash has got to get that move done however way he can and just leg it. He's just got to leg it because he's losing so much time here.
Yeah, Shortbread very close to a disqualification. I believe, if I remember rightly, in terms of the code in the game, I believe it's, I think if you get 3 of those blue flags or 4, it's a DQ. So he's on, I think he's had 3, so I think the next one, Sambam had 4, then he got disqualified.
Yeah, I think Ash has just got to sit behind and let whatever happens happen, because he needs to pick up points. He cannot afford a DNF.
Oh, Shortbread
oh
trying to end his race there. That was about as blatant.
Sit behind and take the points, Ash. Take the points, Ash. Take them, and he's going to take them and run surely now. And I'm sure.
Shortbread's taking him out. Well, that
is disgusting.
Well, that is permanent ban material right there.
Get to the end, Ash. Take the points. But
absolutely,
Azeem is going to be leading this race, and Greeny around the outside. This is going to be interesting here for the lead. Oogie's got a penalty.
This is unbelievable. The last lap of the race.
CCbrain is going to win on his debut if it stays like this.
Wait,
oh my goodness.
Did Oogie just get a penalty?
Yes,
is that what you're saying?
He did. He got a penalty.
Goodness me.
Absolutely incredible. Greeny could win the race because I think there's a few people with penalties. What has happened here?
Well, we're about to
throw up some surprises.
Well,
and we're going to see
we've certainly seen surprises. I mean, I don't want to mention too much. We'll focus on the on-track action. Ashbest has frankly been robbed of a victory here.
But who's going to win? Who's going to win, Mark? There's so many drivers in the penalties. We'll size this one up. Take us to the line.
Well, indeed, Greeny's leading on track. He's got Oogie, the Sauber, the Mercedes of XJackLacey and the Williams teammate CCbrain. They cross the line. Who's going to take the victory? Penalties. It's Oogie Azeem.
Would you believe it? Oogie Azeem winning the season opener for Sauber. An incredible day for Manisha Kaltenborn. What a race that was.
Well, Oogie Azeem wins the race, but you know, I'm going to let the stewards sort out what they need to sort out, but we'll have to just congratulate Oogie Azeem for the victory. XJackLacey takes second and CCbrain takes third, but who knows, Ashbest may be given the win later on because of what happened, but you know, I don't want to make any prejudgments. It's not up to me. So in terms of the race result, Ashbest finishes 5th, AMS in 6th, for McLaren as well. But that unfortunately was probably, in terms of my time in league racing, the darkest thing I've ever seen.
It's by far the worst thing I've ever seen. I've raced on this site for 5 years.
And you know, I can only apologise to those watching because you know, each week we get a pretty big audience watching this league, at least 20 every week. You know, I really value the audience. They always have a good time watching these races, and we don't want to see that. You know, it's a very muted celebration on the podium, I would imagine, because some of the drivers will probably be finding out what the heck just happened, because I think not everybody has the stream running at the same time as some of the drivers do, so they'll only be finding out what happened to Ashbest. They probably think, oh, he must have had an off or something. But here is the result of the race, which might be in brackets at this point. Oogie Azeem takes the victory then. To be fair, he drove really well. XJackLacey as well, great drive from him. A brilliant debut race from CCbrain. Greeny in 4th, Ashbest in 5th, AMS in 6th, QPR in 7th, JD in 8th, Hellboy in 9th, and MaxiLuca rounds up the point scorers in 10th for Toro Rosso. Quite a few retirements in this race, but let's just say this: the disqualification for the 2 Haas drivers. I have no doubt that after what we just saw, that there will be some new Haas drivers in the near future. But we are going to be joined by the podium momentarily, so let me know, Aaron, when they're all here, and then you will take it away for the podium interviews. But yeah,
that's great.
So if putting that incident aside, folks, let us know who your driver of the day was. I think I'm going to give it to CCbrain. A great debut drive for him in this particular division. So I do believe we have everyone now here in the party. So Aaron will take us through the podium interviews.
I'm going to start off with Oogie, mate. You had a terrific qualifying. You drove the race extraordinarily well. Just describe that final lap and taking the victory, because you must be in shock more than us. There was some jiggery pokery going on, mate, but we'll leave that for the stewards to discuss. Well, you know what, Oogie, if I won that race, I would be saying it should stand, because why should I give up my race win for, you know, a driver who was unfortunately, you know, taken out despite the circumstances? I would be saying there's no way you're taking that win off me, so I can certainly see that result standing, so well done on that victory. So we'll move on to XJackLacey, a fantastic drive to get second place. How are you feeling?
Shouldn't really be here, to be honest. I think the guy that should have won was Ash. I think what Shortbread and Sambam did was a joke, and they shouldn't be seen here again. Mongs really, but my race was pretty straightforward really. I had nothing really to do, I just had to keep it on the track, and yeah, got a podium in the end. But yeah,
that's good.
What happened in front was disgrace.
Yeah, and just to add, Jack, you've been an unstable driver last season and very inconsistent, but this is a good start to the season for you. Do you think you can actually push on and challenge for the title? Because you've got the pace, you've got the talent, you've got the skills, you've got the experience, but you just need the mentality.
It's going to be hard, obviously, because I think there's a lot of work to do to get on Ash's pace. But you know, we'll see.
Okay, and we'll move on to CCbrain, making his debut in the PSGL F1 League and coming home in that final podium position in third. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling a bit mixed up. I think the position where I should be is P5, honestly. Ash should be P1, and Green should be on the podium as well. But you got more penalties. Nothing I could do really. Yeah.
Well, you've got to take that result, and we've got to talk to the man who was I'm not going to say arguably robbed, was 100% robbed of what would have been a fantastic race victory, Schumacher style. Ash, just sum up your emotions after what happened.
I'm honestly so I have no words. I mean, what happened on that track, I can't believe what I saw personally. Sambam and Shortbread just should be permanently banned, because what they did here, I just don't know why. I know I was aggressive with Shortbread because Shortbread ran me out when in turn 1. So I thought, okay, he runs me out on turn 1. Why can't I do the same? So I do that, and then all of a sudden Shortbread decides to go full torpedo on me, and yeah, become a bus, a mobile chicane, and whilst also trying to just take me out. So I just.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I just want to share my thoughts, Ash. Obviously, what's happened is probably the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen commentating a race. But I would suggest you just call off, and they will be dealt with. Don't you worry about that. And then, you know, come back to the F1 chat, and you know, because I think it would be a shame. Something that's entirely not your fault would see you end your stay in F1 as the reigning champion, because what happened there was an absolute joke, not your fault at all. I think, you know, he was aggressive with you and you were aggressive with him. I think it was tit for tat, but in no way would that justify what he did and what both Haas drivers did in the race.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go call off now.
Listen, you're 10 seconds faster than us anyway, so you know you're gonna win next. You're gonna win next race.
Thing is, I'm not here for the last 2 rounds. That's why I'm so upset, because
let's talk about something positive, Ash. Your pole position, that was something extraordinary. You know, to do it on your first banker, and still get pole position despite you having a bit more in the tank. What a lap that was! So you know, just describe that lap that you put in, because it was truly sensational.
Well, with bankers, it's not going to be in the 20s unless you absolutely nail it, but that banker was one of the best ones. Usually bankers are from 121s to 121.3s, and 121 was amazing, basically just really cutting the first corner, but cutting to the point where it's still valid, taking it in 5th, shifting down to 4th, and then on the throttle as early as possible through turn 2, taking the most curb, turn 3, 3rd gear, then turn 4, you just shift up to 4th, ride the curb, and use all the track. Then heading into sector 2, just use all that curb that you can, and then that right-hander that leads onto that long left. 3rd gear, clip the curb, go over the other curb when you're going left, and then the fast left right-hander is the hardest to. If you brake, you lose a lot of time. So I lifted off a bit earlier, shifted down to 7th. Knew I wasn't going to make it because my backhand wasn't stable, and shifting down to 6th. Ran through that, used as much curb as I could. Then the last sector is pretty ordinary, just take the racing line, 5th gear for that fast right. And yeah.
Wow, that is incredible.
Right, well, I'm going to say congratulations to the podium, and in terms of what happened, I think everything that's been said has been said. So we're going to end this on a very downbeat note, but I'm sure the only way is up from here. So thank you very much, everyone who's watched the stream tonight. We hope you enjoyed the great track action there was in the race, outside of you-know-what. And thanks, Aaron, for joining me in commentary, and we will see you for PSGL F1 in a week's time in the same place. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.